Hey guys, it's your pal Victor here from Cult Classics and Cult Following, and today we're doing some reviews. And the review I've been wanting to do for such a long time, finally here, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Um, to say I was excited to see this movie is an understatement. I rewatched all of the DCEU movies: Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad, and Justice League. And Justice League is one of those weird movies where you're always kind of like, it's credited to Zack Snyder, even though we knew at least 2/3 of it were reshot, and then you could kind of like try to guess what was Joss Whedon and what was Zack Snyder's contribution. And famously, Zack Snyder says he's never seen the Justice League. So this was pure unadulterated. Everything we saw in this movie plus is Zack Snyder. And having seen both of them back to back, it's not even a night and day difference that the Zack Snyder's Justice League is a much better movie. But not only is it a much better movie overall, it's a completely different movie in terms of like tone and presentation. Zack Snyder's Justice League is very much like the Lord of the Rings / Game of Thrones of superheroes, where he's taking, these traditional archetypes of like Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman, the DC Trinity, and he's treating them kind of like, you would treat these, godlike characters the way Tolkien treats elves and wizards and Sauron, and in a lot of ways, they're sort of similar, films in terms of trying to get their hands on certain MacGuffins before the great enemy can use them to, take over and wipe out the world. And I think it was very smart of Snyder to recognize that and take this track with them, using all the past films in his arsenal to kind of give this life. Because as much as we think of Zack Snyder as a guy who does, movies like Dawn of the Dead or Sucker Punch or, even Watchmen. This is a guy who shot to fame with 300, which is like Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones. I mean, I swear we wouldn't have had shows like Spartacus or movies like Sin City without 300, this like epic, turning like ancient civilizations into this bigger than thou thing. And there's definitely scenes in this movie that evoke the same kind of like Leonidas and Spartans energy, mainly with the Amazons. And you're just there for it, and it just takes you. And I will say, this movie is 4 hours and 2 minutes long. At this point, I've seen this movie 3 times. That means I've spent half a day watching this movie. And I can say it doesn't flow that way. The pacing sucks you in really well. If you want to watch it episodically, it is broken into 6 chapters. And you can just space it out that way, and it doesn't really take a lot away from the presentation. But if you sit down and watch it as one long film, it actually really works. And basically, the big difference in this, and I'm going to go out of my way to really avoid spoilers here, is the main bad guy of the 2017 Justice League, and I'm assuming you've seen that movie if you're reading this review, was Steppenwolf, who was voiced by Ciarán Hinds, who played like, the King Beyond the Wall in Game of Thrones. He's also the devil in, Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, lots of things. He has a good imposing voice, and if you've seen the 2017 version, you hear his voice in full effect with a kind of meh, CGI character that looks almost like an animatic. So they've completely redone Steppenwolf. Like, he's a completely different character that bears a small resemblance to the original, and they've altered the pitch and timbre of Ciarán Hinds' voice, and this is probably what Zack Snyder meant to do all along, and it sounds amazing. Steppenwolf has kind of the same basic plan, except he's not the main antagonist of the film. He's collecting these mother boxes to impress his great master, and if you've read DC Comics over any period of time or seen Justice League Unlimited or anything, you know who Steppenwolf's master is. He's the famous Jack Kirby creation, Darkseid, and that's been shown in the marketing and all that. And just that, I am a huge DC guy, as if you can't tell by these Batman versus Superman posters you always see behind me. And this is, the fourth world versus Justice League film I've always wanted. There's no one, I'll never get another movie like this, and this is the movie I wanted. The closest thing I ever got was Justice League Unlimited, and this is up there, in terms of it makes me sad I won't get the sequels that could logically come from this movie, but maybe, you never know. I will say Ben Affleck's Batman is completely almost everything you saw of Batman in the 2017 Justice League is different in this film. To that point, I mean, it has similar set pieces, and even those, where they fight in the Nightcrawler under a lake, even that's totally different. That's a set piece, but the set piece is done completely differently. So if you're coming in here thinking this is gonna be like an extended cut, it's not. It's a completely different movie. And if you come in with that attitude, I think you'll be really happy with it. I will say, the really striking guy, the character that really shines the most in this, I think, is the Flash. There's a epic scene with him near the end that is just now one of my favorite scenes in a comic book movie. I think Cyborg, who actually has a storyline in this film, is also the heart of the movie, as a lot of has been made of. He's, in many ways our perspective character, and it's really good. It's really good. There's a lot of fan service in here, deep nerd cuts, you'll recognize classic vehicles. We'll have homages to the names of creators, or you might see certain vehicles from comic book arcs, just in the background of a shot, So stuff like that, is there for the fans, but it works in the context, I watched this with my girlfriend, who is not as big a DC nerd as I am. And even, she's like, no, that was explained really well, stuff like that, because there are a few, concepts here that, explaining the MacGuffins that are done well. And, the other thing I really, really think, Justice League was meant to launch other films like Aquaman and Wonder Woman 84 and the new Batman movie. And usually when you see that in Marvel movies, it's kind of shoehorned in, like in Avengers Age of Ultron, which has that really ill-advised Thor goes on a Infinity Stone quest subplot. It just feels shoved in there unnaturally. This movie builds up Aquaman, which never happened in the 2017 Justice League, which Aquaman is the movie that immediately follows that movie. This movie actually does that. It tells you where Aquaman's going, the issues he has leading into that movie, and it's all done very organically. And it makes me angry that the producers at Warner Brothers at the time, like Kevin Tsujihara and Jeff Johns, somehow thought fans were too stupid to understand these things, and I think this is the bane of DC in many ways, is that, now their films for the most part are doing really well, like Shazam and Aquaman and Wonder Woman. They were just a little ahead of their time. They should have just stuck the course and let Marvel do its jokey thing, because now Marvel movies are getting really serious, like DC movies started off as, so it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If there's a chance that multiverse theory comes into play, I would hope this movie does really well when it hits HBO Max tomorrow, and maybe convinces some people there, hey, maybe there's something to be mined in the Snyderverse. I don't know. That would be my ideal hope. But I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was very well done. The acting is great. There's tons of great fan service, but it also works really well as a cohesive story and as a chapter, a little episodic series too, as well, if you want to watch it in parts. It's probably the best of the DC EU movies by far, by a long shot. The best way to watch this, I think, is ideally to dedicate a day to this and watch Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, the extended version, right before you see this, because this movie literally starts where that movie ends. So it feels like you get, if 4 hours is not enough for you, you can watch the 3 hours of that movie and just have a 7 hour Justice League-a-thon, and that should sate you for quite a while. But yeah, that's what I'm going to tell you. If you have the opportunity, check this out. Great movie. I enjoyed it tremendously. And yeah, that's it. We'll have more reviews here on our Cult Classics channel this week. We'll have a review of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier up tomorrow morning, and we will have a review of the new Amazon series Invincible by Robert Kirkman as well up on Friday. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We'll also watch along for Falcon and Winter Soldier Friday morning, late Thursday. So until then, guys, it's your pal Victor saying, hey, see you later. Bye.